After 2 months of non-stop grinding, the video was published, and it kept growing and growing. But I realized I didn't tell the full story. Roblox is a weird game. You can adopt pets, become a boxer, get trapped in an endless loop of gambling, but what really blows me away is that kids are making these games, and in the process, they're making so much money. And over the last 1,000 days, I've been one of those kids. Oh my god! So, let's go back to the beginning of this very long journey. When I first opened Roblox Studio, I was really motivated to start making games, but I quickly realized I had no clue what I was doing. A week later, I came back ready to make my dream game, until I realized that making games is hard, and I quit immediately. By the third time, I was mentally ready. I watched this full scripting guide created by the Dev King, and finally, I was able to make something. But we had a bit of an issue. I was not able to make anything without a tutorial. Like, who the f understands this? By day 37, I was ready to switch things up. It was time to enter the world of 3D modeling. To make models that actually looks good, I would need to learn a new program called Blender, which allows you to pretty much create anything. But the learning curve for this was even bigger than Roblox Studio. I just wanted to make some cool swords, bro. But I knew if I consistently practiced and followed tutorials, I would slowly start to see improvements. Once I got the hang of modeling, it was time to make my first Roblox game. Since I'm still terrible with coding, the game will have to be really simple. When the player joins, we're going to make them gain 1 point after each second. And after a longer time than I'd like to admit, we got the system working. Then I created this border model and spammed it 100 times around the map so that players couldn't escape. But the map was feeling kind of empty, so I thought it would be cool to add in a leaderboard from the toolbox. If anyone asks, I did not use the toolbox. That's just a secret between us, okay? Now you may be wondering how a game like this could possibly get any visits. Since the end of 2019, I've been posting Roblox videos, so I decided to post a video about the game on my channel. If you look at the date that this video was published, it was actually over 1,000 days ago, which means that this video is technically clickbait. After posting this video, my game peaked at like 12 players and I made 400 Robux in the first week. This is when I realized that I could actually make money from these games. For those of you who don't know, Roblox has a developer exchange program where you can trade in the money that you make from your games for real money. But you need at least 50,000 Robux in order to do this, meaning that we were 1% of the way there. We're so close, guys. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching this video are thinking, wait, I want to make a game too, yeah! Bro, I made no progress in 100 days. The truth is, making games is really hard, but I want you guys to be able to make your games. So I have put in months of work to create the best asset store out there. So if you want to start your game dev journey today, go to shopdehappy.com and be sure to use this code for 20% off. So we had our first game published, but it was still a long way off from creating our dream game. To improve even faster, I joined a bunch of Discord servers where people shared their work and provided feedback. While I didn't message often, I looked at all of the creations that other people were making to figure out my own style based on what I liked. While looking through these servers, I found this Discord server created by RowBuilder where people could submit their builds to be rated in videos. So over the next 10 days, I worked on making more detailed models like this medieval house that was based off of a Lego set. But only after 5 days of building, I had to submit my scene, even though it wasn't completely finished. Now we just had to wait to see if I would be featured in the video.
D Happy Prank YT. This, I like your colors, man. People just have like these cool color palettes and I'm horrible with them. Like I don't have any cool color palettes. I'm gonna go 6 because of the trees. Hey bro, I got a couple tree tutorials. You might want to check this.
We were clearly starting to build some good momentum, but over the next year I basically made no progress. I stopped game development to focus on my YouTube channel, which was approaching 10,000 subscribers. The best thing I created through this period was this low poly map that was inspired by Pet Ranch Simulator. Moving forward to the beginning of 2022, there were a bunch of games blowing up called button simulators. When you first join a button simulator, you are a brokey on the side of the street who generates $1 each second. But you're able to save up this money to buy multipliers that give you more cash over time. Then you repeat this process for a few minutes until you can buy a rebirth, which resets everything to 0, but you gain more multiplier now. In button simulators, you repeat this process for weeks until you make it to the best stat in the game. So making this game is actually pretty easy because the system isn't really that complex, is what I thought going into this. Turns out I had to spend months learning how to code all of the different systems without making the game crash. And while the code looks absolutely terrible, it did get the job done. Since I didn't have a YouTube channel to promote the game on, I barely got any visits other than my friends. But the people who did play ended up buying some of the game passes, which gave us a couple thousand Robux. Now I mentioned that my old YouTube channel completely died, but I still really wanted to create content since I had been doing it for over 2 years now. One day I was searching on my feed and I came across the Dev King's channel. I noticed that over the past year, his sub count had increased from around 50,000 to over 400,000.
Wow.
The way he was able to do this was by making entertaining Roblox development content. And when I saw this, I was like, wait, I could totally do this.
In this video, I challenged myself to make a Roblox game in one day, and I spent all of my Robux advertising it.
The game actually turned out to be pretty fun, but it got quite repetitive and I didn't implement any monetization into the game other than this button that kills everybody. When I posted the video, it didn't get many views at first, but over time, it started to gain a lot. And from these views, my game started getting players, and I made a whopping 3,000 Robux, which I then spent on ads and made nothing in return.
Oh no!
The game wasn't really performing that well, mainly because there were a lot of bugs, and if you were alone in the game, it was super boring. So I decided to move on to my next project. When the player spawns in, they're going to be given a cookie. I definitely didn't just make cookie click in Roblox. This game was easily my best creation yet and took over a month to create. But when I first playtested with my friends, the game was completely unbalanced.
My friend has 1 UDE cache right now. I don't know what that even means. You can hear him auto-clicking on the upgrades because he has so many gems. Just listen to this.
Most of the fixes were quick and easy, so I had the game ready for public release within a day. And the video that I made over the game actually got over 100,000 views. Because of the video's success, the game quickly started climbing in visits, and people started competing for spots on the leaderboard. While people were grinding the game, they purchased some of the game passes, and we raised over 13,000 Robux. For my next video, I decided to try and make a game in 1 hour. And to do this, I went back to button simulators since I felt like I would be more comfortable with creating that in a time crunch. I was actually really impressed with the results because the stuff I was able to make in 1 hour would have taken me weeks in the past. With this confidence boost in my scripting ability, I went right into another big project where I tried to make a mining simulator. But after 1 week, I was barely able to make the basic system, and I quickly realized that this was not realistic at all for me. I did have a lot of fun messing around with the camera effects though. After my big failure, I went straight to the opposite where I made a super simple game. I spent like 1 hour making a troll obby where I would trick all my friends into thinking that this obby was impossible. Go!
Dude, this game starts early every time.
What the?
Wait, is that impossible? Hello? No, there isn't. What?
Yo, what the? It's there.
So after having a bit of fun, I looked back on the 1 hour video and noticed that a lot of people were wanting me to expand it into a full game. I decided to spend the next week expanding on the game to see what I would be able to create. I started off by improving the assets because, well, I had no assets. The style that I came up with was a little out of my comfort zone since I usually make low poly stuff, but I still think it turned out really good. After finishing the map, I added more buttons and currencies so that the game would take longer to beat. And to add even more to the gameplay, I added a few worlds with their own special currencies. And after 1 week of non-stop grinding, it was finally time to publish the game. We ended up getting great results and people were playing the game for hours straight. I knew I had to get an update out quick, so I went ahead and added more worlds and revamped a bunch of the game. I'm not going to go too in depth on what I did with this game because I have a long video that goes through the entire process. But long story short, the videos kept getting more and more and more views, and the game got over 200,000 players. And from these 200,000 visits, I got over 100,000 Robux. After this game, I decided it was time to make my dream game, Pet Islands. This is going to be heavily inspired by Pet Ranch Simulator, which was my favorite game as a kid. And I actually created a map that looked really cool, but unfortunately the game was too complex for me to script, and I wasn't able to find anyone who could consistently work on the project. But we have good news. While I was working on this project, I met a scripter named Qubit, who was able to make pet systems. And that was like a scripting god to me, because I tried making pet systems so many times, and let's just say they didn't turn out well. So with the help of Qubit, I decided to start working on a game that nobody had ever made before. A clicking simulator. In today's video, my friend and I spent 24 hours making a Roblox game, and we're gonna publish it to see if we can make it to the front page. Since I've posted the video, it has nearly 500,000 views. I ended up naming the game Happy Clickers, which is a very unique name. After around 2 updates and a month of growing the game, we got over 160,000 Robux, even though we had less visits than the button simulator. And this game went crazy. If we fast forward to the present day, the game has been out for less than a year and has 370,000 visits, along with 1.3 million Robux, bringing our total to just under 1.5 million. I continued updating this game for the next 4 or 5 months, and eventually I hit burnout because the game was getting really repetitive and all the updates were the exact same. And you guys are not gonna guess what the next project I made was. A button simulator. This time, since I had a scripter and a modeler helping me, I was able to make a much higher quality game. We not only added visual effects, but also had a pet system in the game, and the map was way cleaner, and we had quest systems. I mean, the game was just amazing. So in the last 3 months, this game has brought in over 300,000 Robux, despite only having 150,000 visits. So now our total is at like 1.7 million Robux. But if we include a side project I was working on, then the total goes up to like 5 million Robux.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Let me explain. So towards the end of the button simulator that I was working on around a year ago, I created a website where I sold game templates for people to use. So basically, people who didn't know how to make games could just download the file, import it into Roblox Studio, and publish it as their own game. And we've actually had just under 1,000 customers so far. This game made using our basic simulator pack made 300,000 Robux in the first 2 days. So now we're basically to the present, and you're probably wondering what's next. I really want to go back to Pet Islands because I think that game had a lot of potential. But in order to do this, I'm going to need a really good development team. To join the community of developers, be sure to join my Discord server, which is linked in the description. Thank you all for being a part of my journey, and hopefully this is just the beginning.